After 1962, the Beatles played short sets of no more than 10 songs. However, in 1963 they played 22 songs live in a row, and all of these were secretly recorded. This recording would not be heard by the general public until a further 59 years. In 2022, esteemed BBC journalist and presenter Samira Ahmed was visiting Stowe School. Stowe is an English public school, the closest US equivalent being the Hotchkiss School in Connecticut. An ardent Beatles fan, Ahmed was particularly struck by a blue plaque commemorating the Beatles' performance at the school's Roxburgh Hall in 1963. On a subsequent visit, she managed to glean from the headmaster that one of the boys, 15-year-old John Bloomfield, had secretly recorded the entire concert. Brian Epstein and the group clearly missed this additional microphone. In this picture, you can see it clearly rising from the floor to the top of the stage, visible to the entire audience. By this day, the 4th of April 1963, the Beatles had finally broken through with 2 songs in the UK singles chart, including their first number 1, Please Please Me, the album from which had been released only 2 weeks before. One enterprising Stowe student, David Moores, had written to Brian Epstein. Epstein most likely recognised the Moores name, which is a big deal in Liverpool. The Moores family were extremely wealthy thanks to their football pools empire. An exchange of letters followed between the schoolboy and Brian Epstein, the result of which was Epstein agreeing that the Beatles would play 2 half-hour sets for the fee of £100 plus food. The day had begun early for the Beatles at the BBC Paris studios in London, where they recorded 5 songs for the BBC radio show Side by Side. One of these was the Lennon and McCartney original, which was deemed unworthy for release by the group itself. I'll be on my way. Running behind schedule, the Fab Four arrived more than 1 hour late at around 6:30 p.m. to be met by cries of "Why are we waiting?" from the schoolboys. Instead of taking a break and playing 2 sets as originally planned, the Beatles decided to power on through and to play for a whole hour. When they got to the end of what would have been their first set, they suddenly realised that they had not rehearsed any additional songs. To compound matters, George was ill that day and had lost his voice, so that ruled out any songs where George took lead vocals or where his harmony vocals played a significant contribution to the songs. Between songs, you can actually hear them discussing what they're going to play and then asking for requests from the audience. The final set was a mix of R&B covers from their Hamburg days, tracks from their newly released debut album, Please Please Me, and their forthcoming new single, From Me to You. One boy can be heard shouting repeatedly for How Do You Do, the song the Beatles turned down for their first single, which was currently sitting at the top of the charts by fellow Merseybeat rivals and friends Jerry and the Pacemakers. John Lennon can be heard sarcastically shouting back, "Award that boy 2 bonus house points." Later, social commentary in a similar vein would be heard from Lennon 7 months later at the Royal Command performance. Till 1966, every single Beatles performance would be accompanied by an overwhelming wall of high-pitched screams. John Bloomfield has generously donated this tape and his beloved Butoba MT5 portable reel-to-reel tape recorder to the British Library. It's a fitting home, as it already houses the lyrics of Strawberry Fields Forever and She Said, plus the 800-year-old Magna Carta, the British Bill of Rights, and other sacred texts. I was incredibly fortunate to meet John Bloomfield at the British Library on the occasion of the 62nd anniversary of the Stowe concert. Here he is holding the tape recorder he used to record the concert in secret, which is powered by 12 1.5 volt D-type batteries, enough to last for the hour recording. Shortly afterwards, one of the library's curators was very quick to retrieve this precious tape recorder and secure it into storage. Anyone who wants to hear this concert can do so simply by visiting the British Library Sound Archive. After the concert, the Beatles accepted the offer of a guided tour around the school. In the music room, they seemed quite taken by the string instruments, which, several years later, would become a key part of their future recordings. Bootlegs of this Stowe concert are currently out there on YouTube and other sources, but not particularly recommended. You can even hear the British Library's air conditioning fans cut in at various points. Are we likely to see a cleaned up, demixed official release of the Stowe tapes? Well, no time soon. Apple could lay claim to ownership of these tapes, as they did successfully with the Star Club tapes. However, they're unlikely to take to court an esteemed British charity such as the British Library, so the recordings should be safe under their protection. Furthermore, Paul has cooperated with the British Library before, in fact even hosting an exhibition there to support the publication of his 2023 book, The Lyrics. Furthermore, even though Apple have the rights to release the Star Club tapes, which they've had for more than 40 years, they've yet found any time or energy to do so. There was one further and lesser known secret recording made that day. During dinner at the school's tuck shop, another larger tape recorder had been secreted by Jan and Maggie, daughters of the school's shop manager Tom Claridge. Quizzed by the boys, the Beatles discussed their grueling 8-hour-plus live sets in Hamburg, and John also discussed his various academic failings, almost as a badge of honour. The tape itself was sold in the 1990s to a Japanese dealer. The Stowe concert is a unique and fascinating listen, a time capsule representing a clash of cultures from two opposite ends of the British class system. It was also at a time when the Beatles were transitioning from cover versions to their own original compositions. Throughout it all, the Beatles handled it with bemusement and grace, qualities that would go on to serve them well and drive them to even greater heights.
We were the first working class singers that stayed working class and pronounced it. Didn't try and change our accents, which in England were looked down upon, probably still are.
John, in this royal variety show, when you're appearing before royalty, your language has got to be pretty good, obviously. This thing about Ted, he's saying that he couldn't distinguish. I
can't understand
the
Teddy.
Queen's English.
I can't understand Teddy saying that at all, really. I'm not going to vote for Ted.
The school's motto is Pesto et Presto, which translate as I stand firm and I stand first, sentiments which were shared by the Beatles themselves.